Okay, give me the next lady.
Yeah, okay. I was reading from not Uncanny Networks.
Uncanny is Max Weber, huh?
No. This is here two books that he recommended to us. Uncanny Networks.
Zero Comments?
No, not Zero Comments. It was a different book. And Zero Comments. So I was reading Portrait of a Virtual Intellectual, and he says, a renaissance of ideas can only happen after the defeat of the literary establishment is a fact. It is of no use to dream up a return to the day gone by of Parisian existentialism, the Bloomsbury Street, LA exile intellectuals, or the New York partisan review crowd. Today's challenge lies in orchestrating radical intercultural exchanges, not enclosed monocultures. So I don't know if I disagree. I don't disagree that we need intercultural exchange. I just disagree that the internet is the only line of flight, so to speak, to a cultural revolution and a cultural regenesis. And I guess I want to explore how the internet is not helping take us there.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a point of argument. He talks about the virtual intellectual. He talks about creating a new type of human, a virtual intellectual who can move freely online within databases and list cultures.
Fighting, but
Yeah,
because there is no virtual intellectual.
Yeah, but yeah, I just.
EGS is the absolute opposite, the concept to that. I bring them in person.
Yeah.
And if they are not in person, they would not be. You would not really understand them. You understand all of them much differently after you meet them in person. See them eat, walk, talk to you, see who is with them, and so on. You get a quite still superficial view, but you get a person, and you get it on many other senses than just your reading or the intellectual sense. Don't say you are get close to them so that you can smell them, better not, but you still have an idea of that in that. And as a person, firstly. Now the intellectual part. Intellectual is always a work in progress. A part which is already done, and is a book or a production or whatever, then it's you coming in there and become as a viewer, as the reader. You become then the author of that. That's why we always watch and see the same thing so differently. So you are then the intellectual with this piece somebody else has created. But still you have to, when you want to know the person who really created the thing, you have to meet this person. At least even in something so restricted like a lecture with a Q&A at the end, you know. If you ever meet Zizek this way, you get a very good understanding how to read his books on that. You know what you have to disregard and what you might have to focus on because of this. Also, a virtual intellectual would be an intellectual without a body, and there is no intellect without the body. Also, you have in your other, and I remember you made this point of the reason of the body as a something which cannot be taken away from any kind of insight. Also, the insight of this internet, this virtual intellectual, he would like to be that. I can understand this, you know, because that would allow him to stay in Budapest or Amsterdam and don't walk anymore. And everyone else said, Geert, great intellectual, you know. But it's not the case. Also his renovation in the world has, for example, compared with Jean de Gnosy, he's not even a mouse, you know. So it is a, it is a study and even Claire Denis, you will see what totally different kind of style is there behind that. So, but in some way, what I sense in Geert, maybe you can give me, I sense a kind of insecurity in his own bodily existence, which he had kind of augmented then with the internet. And now he feels much stronger than he really is, intellectually and so on. And in many ways, you might even see it in his books. You know, they have so many commonsensical stuff in there, which everybody could have written. You don't have to be an intellectual to write that. Because intellectual means intellectus, insight. Means you get insights other people don't have the time or the inclination to do that. You have a certain room in your life. Also Hegel once describes the philosopher that first only one philosopher for each city, and then the philosopher should be sent out of the city, like an eremit, live outside for everything in his hut, because only then he can have insights. As long as he's in the city and everybody comes to him for advice or whatever, he will never be able to fold, as we would say, Deleuze now. So there's no unfolding possible for him, because he never learned to fold. And that is the problem of the whole virtual existence and the internet. They don't ask you to fold. They always ask you to be open and communicate and give everything and be transparent and whatever. And not that I have any objections in terms of privacy here, etc. I couldn't care less. But I know that how can I learn when I always have to be open to everything? I need my own time. And it's a time when I don't see anybody and talk to anybody. I'm not saying there's happening anything, but there is happening something. Something I'm not controlling, which I let happen. Something like that. We call it resting for a time. And we understood that the people, these workaholics, who work all the time like crazy, they may have a big output, but it's not so much worth it. So that is what is an intellectual difference to other people? Somebody who produces something worthwhile, something we have not seen before. It's a new insight we want from an intellectual, not the old ones rehashed. In some way, my suspicion towards Geert is in the way that he is typical for the Netherlands people. He is kind of too nice and too open and so on. Can he get really angry? Something like that. Really has passion? I cannot think of him as passionate. But passionate again is a body involvement in any insights. You're not seeing it, you're feeling it this way. Is he passionate about something? Or can you be passionate about the virtual world? Only passionate what virtual world might achieve, maybe. That's passion beyond the virtual world. When the reality can be changed. Because change is the goal of everything, whatever you call it, is change in the middle of it. Yeah, I think it's a good thing here to uncanny. Yeah, he does not understand uncanny. All these people don't. Unheimlich. They always use this word. I don't know why they like it so much.
When we were with DJ Spooky, he said it's unheimlich, it means uncanny. And I don't know what we were talking about, but I have to say, it wasn't uncanny at all.
It wasn't uncanny at all, right?
There was nothing odd, there was nothing disturbing about it. I said, I don't think he knows what uncanny means. It's not right.
Uncanny is kind of an access to your home again. You're going to an alienation of what is your usual, to a rupture thing. It makes you fearful, if you want, or extremely joyful. It pushes you into extremes, out of which then kind of your feeling yourself comes for a moment. Then you go back into the abyss again. The abyss and uncanny and all this kind. It's the same thing. But again, in the word unheimlich in German, these are usually stories, Märchen. Virginia, was ist Märchen?
Fairy tales.
Fairy tales, yes. In fairy tales we have this
Yeah.
and we have very good German fairy tales, extremely tricky ones. Also Hänsel und Gretel, you know Hansel and Gretel, for example, who come and see this house out of cookies, you know, and cannot stop starting eating this house in which the witch is waiting with the oven to break them, etc. There's so much in there in this story, which a kid first, if he understands this on a level the kid cannot express, but he understands it very well. Yeah.
I was just wondering if it's related to Goethe's concept also of the unerhörte Begebenheit, the Wundersame, and the...
Ja. Also this never before event und das Unheimliche, certainly they are extremely, because in the never before event, it does not feel like you're at home here anymore, like you have been expelled out of your world. But in fact, as you find out later, this being expelled is necessary, that your home feels like a home again. Also your home changes. Also it's not the home your parents have made for you. That's why I always taught my students, you have to hate your parents. I have to speak to Peck's daughter. You have to hate your mother. Only then you can become a human being.
I'll introduce you.
How old is she now?
19.
Nah, come on, then she knows.
She's been through it. She was there.
She can later come back, but you come back as a different person, more same level in there. Still, parents are still parents and know how to push your buttons. So my hate of my mother only ended when she was 90 and she could not push my buttons anymore. And then I said, forgiveness. Or maybe I still hate her. But whatever. Also, thank you. This is a good project. Nashan, you are the last one. Also Peck, give us first Peck and then Poppy.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also I don't make a coffee break. Let's go through it and then go home. No?
Okay.
No.
So I was looking at the first chapter in Zero Comment on what is it? First chapter called the blogging, the nihilist impulse.
What impulse?
Nihilist.
Sorry,
Nihilist?
Nihilistic.
Nihilistic.
Nihilistic. Nihilistic.
Nihilist.
Does he understand that there are two forms of nihilism, an active and a passive one, according to Nietzsche at least, The passive nihilism is this, what is the name, degeneration or something, there is a name is D, something, everything goes down, that is a passive nihilism. But the active nihilism, that's the act of an artist, creating new worlds. And the other is the resignation, people, there's a word I forgot. Okay. But he only uses the word nihilistic. Okay, go ahead.
So, so he says, according to Baudrillard, we could say that blogs are a gift to humankind that no one needs. And I liked that quote quite a bit.
What is a gift to humankind?
A gift to humankind that no one needs.
Yes, what is
Blogs, right?
Blogs, sorry, yes, the blogs are a gift. So
it's a blog.
I wanted to focus on the blog. He also talks about cynicism in terms of blogging, about being highly contemptuous attitude towards social norms, especially those which serve more of a ritualistic purpose than a practical one. And also that that blogs express personal fear, insecurity, and disillusionment, anxieties, looking for partners in crime. So I wanted to, and the final quote, no matter how much talk there is of community and mobs, the fact remains that blogs are primarily used as a tool, pardon the word, to manage the self. And I wanted to look at it in context of an experience I had with a tenant. I rent out rooms in my house. I had a tenant who used social media basically against me. And it had cost me a great deal.
Tenant from hell, yes.
A tenant from hell. And it cost me a great deal of money and a huge amount of anxiety. And so I want to look at this particular situation, how she used her blog and texting and emails and Skype to it caused me to, first of all, trust her, and then in hindsight now, to look at the clues that were embedded in the social media that she used, which should have shown me what eventually happened. So further to that, in looking at methodology, and I thank Samantha for this, looking at what method to look at this basic problem, I'm posing the question, since social media can get used to give a false sense of trust for a person, how can one protect oneself?
Sure.
I
We ask ourselves every day.
What was that?
Every day we ask how we can
Well, yes.
protect ourselves from people.
Yes. Yes, and so in terms of the methodology, Samantha introduced me to a dramaturgical method.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious about that because I use dramaturgs in my work. I have dramaturged for other people, but I've never used it as a methodology of investigation in terms of basically what is really going on and how do you look at what is truth. So I would like to look
What
at
is dramaturgy?
the dramaturgical method.
Yeah, what is that?
Let me try to explain it because I'm just learning it.
Probably in German.
So the word again?
Dramaturgical?
It's Kenneth Burke. Kenneth Burke?
Dramaturgical?
The act, agent, agency, motive.
Yeah.
So,
Ein Dramaturg ist das Wort.
Yeah, I know what a
Aber ich
dramaturg
weiß nicht.
is. Also Weber was a dramaturg. These are always these intellectuals for the director who explain what the director does anyway, so without knowing.
It's the dramaturgical theoretical method of analyzing in which Kenneth Burke identified as in dramaturgy there's the act, there's the agent, there's the agency, there's motive, and they usually highlight one thing or another. So like in her sense, you might want to highlight the motive of the agent, which they're portraying it as a very positive thing, when in reality the motive of the agent, in your sense, was to undermine you.
and to extort.
So it's just identifying the different aspects within drama.
Looking it up, what I came across was that it's a dramaturgical perspective does not examine the cause of human behavior, but the context. And I found that really interesting in this way, because I will never know what she was really all about. I just know what she did.
Just kick her out.
Well, I tried. She actually went to the Supreme Court of British Columbia.
Oh my!
Just get two big guys over the night and
Sorry, because who wants to stay in a place where their landlady doesn't even like them?
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah, in order to
just
torture her.
more antagonism, more investigation. That's crazy.
Who didn't want the torture pact, So.
But there's also dramaturgical theory suggests that a person's identity is not a stable and independent psychological entity. It is constantly remade as the person interacts with others. This woman refused to talk to me in person. She only communicated through social media.
No, it's a good idea to kind of get a distance, nicht? Also from your own feeling of powerlessness, etc., by treating it as a drama. So I understand it, nicht? And kind of investigate it this way, and so you become the spectator of your own life somehow. That is what an artist does anyway. So it's right. So it's actually in the end you should send you the same lady who kicked me out of the new school, which made EGS possible, you know. And now if I ever meet her, I will thank her profoundly from the bottom of my heart for kicking me out. Thank you. And first I hated her, you know. Why should I do this? No? She opened up a totally new world for me. So maybe make a movie out of her. You know?
I will.
And then give her this way, then she will see herself in the movie, just change her name because she seems to like the laws.
She has a Ph.D. in law.
So make it, find another lawyer, you know, and get Nation as a producer in Lebanon. Good luck in Lebanon court.
Okay. Just further to that, the other method that I came across that was of interest to me was intersubjectivity. That was another term I hadn't investigated before, where it takes two to figure out what's going on. So I found that could be interesting, and also that, of course, I would be looking at it in a qualitative way.
Yeah. As you know, subjectivity, the self-realization stuff of the 80s or so on became later a dirty word. Because the subjectivity is also the limitation of your existence in the world, to something you know already. So you make it a process, an overcoming, and totally right. One of the ways is always to understand it, that it's always mitsein. This is being with. This is you're never alone. You unfortunately you're always with other people. What can you do? Okay, good. Thank you. Poppy.
I just browsed a bunch of different stuff randomly, and also online. Found some articles online I thought were interesting, and I don't really know what I'm going to write about yet, or what I want to propose. I just have different ideas of things that I found interesting. One was the idea of organized and tactical use of online media, how things spread from community to city to country, the idea of silent globalization of the net. That was something that I found interesting, and then I found also an interesting article about WikiLeaks that he wrote, and how he was saying that it's actually do-it-yourself news reporting because of the decline of investigative and mainstream journalism.
Is he on the side of WikiLeaks?
He was saying it doesn't really make sense to take a side, either way, because it's there, and it's something we have to contend with and deal with.
Because Geert I knew he would certainly have embraced it, that is something, especially since it was not planned or anything like that. That was one person, and the really thing you can say against WikiLeaks is why not having also the cables from Russia and other places? Yeah, because we don't have it, Otherwise, we would certainly publish it.
I felt like he was I felt somehow like it was a mix between positive and negative. Like on one side, he was saying that. There's always been a WikiLeaks. Before there's been WikiLeaks, there have always been whistleblowers. So it's not really new. But at the same time, he was saying kind of some negative things that he didn't, that they were acting like a corporation themselves, and that he didn't know how true or untrue the information was because all that they were saying was that we have volunteers that test information, and they're not transparent.
They have made choices not to bring other people's lives in danger as possible. That is certainly a question you have. On the other hand, as I wrote it a long time ago, you have to live publicly as you live privately. There's no way that somebody cannot find out everything about you if you become a target from anybody. It is, and what is the big deal again? Same thing here. What the USA thinks about Saudi Arabia or Saudi Arabia about the USA is just a momentum. It might be that the next guy thinks quite differently. And for us, it's good to see behind the curtain for a while and have an idea how they do their job, you know. And I was kind of impressed of the king of Saudi Arabia. Seems to be a very clear-sighted guy, you know. They just bombed them, you know. Seems like that, you know. He never would say publicly in that paper. Did not care in doing that. And again, it's not that somebody has done it. It leaked itself through the consciousness of one person in this case. He has just had enough of that. He stumbled across that and found that this is not right, that nobody knows about this. You know? And he found another guy who said, okay, I give you my hacker qualities to get it out. Nicht? Also Julian Assange really did not have any positive from it, nicht? And the opposite. Nicht? Nowadays, then everyone tried to find something against him and made up charges and kind of thing. You know, yes, I slept with him, but next morning I thought maybe the second time I did not say yes or whatever. So, the kind of implicit thing when you can do it the first time, you can do it the second time in the same night too. You know, also, I don't think there is another what to say, hooray to you. You know, so it's not okay. Don't go there. Okay, go on, Paul.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty weird, that whole thing is pretty weird. And Obama's reaction to WikiLeaks also was kind of just strange, unexpected.
Yeah, it is for us, I think for all of us. I think WikiLeaks, nicht all of us has a kind of ambiguous feeling. It's not so, and Julian himself is an ambiguous guy, you know, it's not really a likable guy. So he is, he's a typical hacker guy. Somebody with less social skills and kind of things. But I like that some English lord protect him, you know, ask him to come to his, in the countryside, to his big thing, so nobody can reach him there. That shows that in England there are some people, you know, lords who really deserve to be lords. You know, have this, I decide myself, I have my aristocratic ethics. Like Nietzsche said, you know, that's my ethics. Okay.
Well, it sounds like now he's taking out names, which I think that was kind of the crux. I think, like the fact that he was naming names of people, and also people that should be protected or that were in danger, and now they're taking out the names thing. So I really can't. I think
only the printing.
I guess
they have come together. The German. New York Times and etc. Yeah, also in this case, I don't mind, because I think the names are unimportant. So it is the action actually which is to be exposed, because all these people, they are ordered to do that. You know, they are not have volunteered. I want to be the CIA man in Iran or something like that. So I don't think this should lead to the death of people named. That is not the idea. But if you do it, certainly, but then they have to, what they did already, I think, go underground right away. At least the moment they heard they might be named, then they are disappearing. You know? Otherwise it would be very unprofessional to stay there and wait until they shoot you.
It's like not the best idea.
Yeah.
Then I also read about the privatization of screens and space, and specifically a chapter on Times Square, and then also about exhibit by this group called Archie Graham, which I'm sure you know.
What does he know about Times Square? Has he ever been in New York? Okay.
No.
Which Times Square actually? Times Square 20 years ago?
Now, where it's like all, you know, it's like privatized space. And this exhibit called Plug-in City by Archie Graham. I also read about the constant, like YouTube and concentration span, and how our concentration span is shortening, and how that's affecting us. So I don't know. What interests me, what I kind of would like to write about, but I haven't found a way to connect it yet, and I haven't found it in the book, but something that I'm interested in is which is also kind of to Peg's point, the idea of reputation on the internet. is something that's really interesting to me.
That's a strong topic, the reputation on the internet. That is actually a master thesis, maybe even doctoral thesis. I think it's strong.
I've been working on, for a while, I've been collecting articles and like, I'm working on a script and like different things connected to the idea of reputation on the internet, because especially in how it affects young people today.
Okay, but what kind of reputation? Also, you don't mean ranking, huh?
I'm interested, that's interesting to me too. I mean, the idea and as we've talked about this before, that I think it's going to also come down to the fact that it's already kind of here, that we're going to have to pay a service in order to create and PR like a better reputation for us on the internet with all the information that we're participating on. So it's like there's a new value.
Yeah, but no service can
being created.
You need and to expect for that.
And the idea how social systems, like how high school systems, the idea of social organization, and how that then plays out on the internet. Like there have been a lot of recent suicides of young people due to kind of character assassination on the internet.
But again, here also you have to be very careful. The suicide rate of young people has always been as much as high as the suicide people of people over 80. No? They have kind of the same suicide. So one have good reasons, you should kill yourself when you reach 80. And I give myself.
But I think that it's interesting that it goes from a virtual thing to an actual thing.
Yeah, but they have done it all the time.
Yeah.
All of us, I never admit anybody in the school, I have not the feelings that they have considered suicide at least once in their life. Because otherwise they are not prepared to be here. So it is something which is part of your life, because it's also your freedom. How is it when I can get rid of all this shit? And of this shit is not the parents or the friends or is in the internet. Internet is just another way to hurt you, to get hurt. And it's actually a way you can fight back pretty good if you learn the skills to do that. You can find a hacker or somebody, or I threaten somebody, $800, give it back to my credit card, or I will ask my hackers at EGS to give you a denial of service and everything. Your domain name will never be the same again. I will destroy your reputation on the internet. Handled with the students can do that, and they do it as a favor. I don't even have to pay for it, So, and then I got my money back right away, It was not something.
You're right. It can be used as a weapon.
Yeah, certainly. It is a strong weapon, also fighting, a defense weapon. But you need skills, like in all situations. You don't have to let yourself seen as a victim. The self-victimization. This, oh, look how bad I'm so poor, I'm so this, I'm so ugly, I'm so this. This is a culture which I really despise, And everybody who kills himself in this culture, good luck, get rid of it. Because you should not do that. You should not allow other people to victimize you.
It's interesting, also, the suicides seem to also be happening in the form of some kind of a Bloßstellung. I don't know how to say it, like something that used to be private becomes public.
Yeah, okay.
And then it's linked to some kind of a...
Yeah, but take Paris Hilton's answer to that. First, the family wanted to go to court to take off the internet my night in Paris. No? And then Paris thought again about it and said, what's the big deal? Does not everybody has a private porno movie? Mine is just, I'm a public person, so it's now on the internet. And it actually did not destroy her reputation, like her parents thought. In fact, enhanced it. Which is in some way funny, because if you ever, who has seen My Night in Paris? What a bad blowjob, It's she was half asleep. Was even it was Monica Lewinsky style, Only Clinton fall asleep. So there's no way you want to sleep with Paris Hilton after this movie. You can only hope that she learns something in the last 8 years. So it was a very, I thought it was very realistic. It was not a porno where everybody was a professional cocksucker, sondern it was a very, that's how life is with this half-drunk. She was obviously under.
Filmmakers. That's why we have real filmmakers.
Yeah, it was. Well, she did not know about it. You see some of the scene that was really not her scene. And she was probably half as if she was stoned. That is. That's the reason, nicht, weil it is not such a good idea to mix the two things, obviously. You get too slow. But it was nothing, really. It was so, it was so humane in some way. Nicht? It was a really humane view of that, especially with the other pornographic stuff, which they try to see lights and everything like a movie.
Maybe I'll write my master's thesis on My Night with Paris.
Yes, my night in Paris.
Brought humanity to sex.
Nicht with Paris, in Paris. That was a funny thing. We all have been in Paris for a night, most of us. But this was a special night in Paris. Yes. And the guy, actually, the filmmaker, he made some money because now you can buy it in a internet shop. It's not a pirated version, it's a totally what you can get. Yes,
so you're saying that possibly the final end result or the prediction could be that, in a sense, the whole idea of reputation might be becoming less precious overall with all these scandals that are happening.
Yes, also you have really what is called reputation. You have really to go after this term. First, the reputation was when you did something for other people, for the state, as a Caesar. As a big example. Then you earned a reputation and you earned the right to become a member of the Senate and leading the state, etc. Because of that, what you did, the war in Gallia, and etc. The reputation behind the reputation was a real positive action. And you can put it certainly. TV series, the American attachment to serial killers. I survived one season here in Das Fee only because I had Criminal Minds with me, so I could every night watch Criminal Minds. And the funny thing was, in Criminal Minds, have you ever seen this?
I get scared. If I watch 5 minutes of it, I can't sleep.
Paget Brewster.
I can't.
It's beautiful.
So scary.
In every Criminal Minds, they quote a famous person. And it was funny enough, in this season, we had a poet from France. I forgot his name is, but he was great. He was a really great poet. And actually, exactly the night before, I saw in Criminal Minds, they quoted him. And the next day, next evening, after his lecture, I said, "Do you know that you are quoted in Criminal Minds?" He had no idea that he did it. So, but there is this funny attraction, also in books, etc., of the Americans, because this serial killer, they are not really so big as they are according to they are very, very few only. But we have now one in Long Island. We found all these corpses and so weiter. There must be somebody who has killed already. Craigslist,
Oh yeah, the Craigslist killer.
Yes, the Craigslist killer. So there are some. This is no question about it. But they are never like in the media. It's a good question because this is a reputation, the serial killer. So it's a negative reputation because this serial killer is something which has no reason actually, or has a reason of its own, which can be very hard to find out because it's you need the FBI people who are crazy as a crazy killer in order to get a sense what they are doing. But in fact, they can come in any house, and then you can break in every house and you can kill everybody. It is nobody is really protected from such a crazy guy. That makes the evil reputation. It's an evil you have no protection against. If you want to protect against a serial killer, so you have to go to an asylum, because that's the only place where the serial killers may be there, but they are behind closed doors. But otherwise, you have to live in your own house, with all your locks and cameras and etc. And still, you go out there, and maybe the guy is waiting out there. So, there is something you cannot think about it. You have to really put it into the evil, and if it happens, just treat it as an accident. You're dead. No? Okay, everybody dies.
Interesting way to go.
So everybody dies is actually your best way of dealing with it. Look at the other guy, say, okay, I'm dead now, but you will die too. So just wait a little bit. That I always found this very hopeful, that you all die. So that is a great. This is the other side of reputation. There is a negative reputation. We usually don't call it so. We call it a weaning reputation, but it's actually not a ruin of reputation. It's its negative side. It's a negative reputation. But you are interested in the positive reputation. And there is a question, can actually anything other people say about you which are not true? And they are true, certainly they are part of your reputation. But which are made up, and most of the internet stuff is made up.
Or the fact that you can change the context of truth
very
easily.
Yeah, but let's stick to the truth for a moment. That you can make up reputation is not a question. But, Aristotle once said about the truth, it's a very interesting, simple thing we all know, but we are not really paying attention to. That truth you don't have to defend. It shows itself. Lies, as Nietzsche later noted, you have to be very intelligent to lie. The truth every idiot can say. So, because you have to remember what you said to whom and whatever in order to make up the whole lying thing. The truth is just how it is. So what you talk about it. So in some way we kind of like the liars because they are the artists of their lives, and so long as they're not malicious liars, sondern just lie for the fun of it, that's okay. We have nothing against it. The internet certainly allows that. Also in the beginning of the internet, in the book of Sandy Stone, unfortunately she never wrote another one. You will find it in the internet. Also her book about the body and etc. There she tells a long story how somebody in the internet befriended another woman, I think, and was coming so close and had everything, and later found out it was a man. Then she killed herself. And I never understood this. This is totally beyond but what does she care? If it was a man or etc. It was a good discussion on the internet. What was the point in who this person was in reality? It was nothing malicious about it. She only was ashamed that she told everything to a man when she thought it was a woman or whatever, And that was in the beginning. Nowadays it's like so, you always go in the internet and expect that everybody lies. It's like my friend House MD says, no? Everybody lies, okay. So break in their house and find out what's really going on. House is my favorite series right now. So, okay, also that is, again, the reputation of that is something which, there is a truth of reputation, if you know it or not. And this truth shows itself without you can really hide it. You have to make a lot of effort to hide it, to lie it. And we have not really the time. Only in very few instances, as a new boyfriend or whatever, then you, at the beginning, you make up your own persona. But after a while, you get so intimate with this person that you can let out your real person. And then is the moment of truth. No? Does he or she accept this as somebody still? And nobody is mad about your embellishments or whatever. Everybody does in telling stories. We're all storytellers. Right? And we are not what's that? Historians. So we are storytellers. Okay, go on. Also this reputation is, I think, a very interesting part in which the right to create or generate your own reputation is there. There is a reputation which shows itself. There is a malicious reputation, and there is a reputation of innocent white lies, things like that. You make yourself a little bit better, you know, or a little bit younger or whatever. I took out my age, but it's too easy in the internet to find out how old I am. So it's still. Also, who cares? In the end, the question: allow the other people. Also, see, Sartre said once, "You are what the other say about you." And that's why he, in his one of his dramas, he has this line: "The hell, these are the others." The hell, these are the others.
The hell?
The hell, the Hölle. Yeah.
The hell, that is, okay.
These are the others. Yeah. Because the others make.
Those other people.
Yeah, the other people.
Yeah.
And but this is something we are not accepting anymore as Homo generators. We accept that they are being with, people penetrating our monad, but we have ways to kick them out. Right? And the older we have become, the more experienced we become in kicking them out. Right? Our experience to inviting them in might not get better. It's better you are innocent in this phase. But kicking them out, you'll learn this living. Okay. Nesha, give us the ending.
The title of my proposal is We Can Leak, You Can Leak, Beat WikiLeaks, iLeak.com.
iLeak.com. What is this for new porno?
In the light of a lot of excerpts I read in Lovink's books, especially an essay he has written, it's Media Change, Change of Media. He talks about the era of Talibanization of the postmodern world, where terrorism and anti-terrorism, with the dissipation of power, tend to be the epicenter of all the facts, realities and unrealities of this world, and the balance and imbalance between terrorization and de-terrorization or fighting terrorism.
Yeah.
At a long shot view of what has happened since the graphic revolution until the internet revolution, I have come to interpret my proposal in Nietzsche's Untimely, when he says it's untimely. During the graphic revolution, the internet revolution was not timely, it was untimely. But when the kairos came, the right time came, everything happened. The whole thing of Julian Assange, of the WikiLeaks, is about transparency. People want transparency. People want the truth without masks. And in here I'm going to quote Zizek. When he talks in The Perversion of Christianity, he says that man wants to cover his shit, that's what he uses, because he knows that shit comes from within, the evil lies within, and he uses the term externalization of the shit. In my proposal, I want to externalize the shit. I want to generate, as a second step, another site to beat WikiLeaks, and it's called wikileak.com or youcanleak.com. Here I want to go to Foucault and his panopticon. In this case, I want to be in the tower, and the I is everyone, and the prisoners are the secrets. But I want to take this panopticon further, one step further, which is the barriers between the cells. I want to destroy them. So everybody can see everybody, and I, as the subject, can see all the truth bare, naked. I want to take this also to another level, which is on another generation, which is the iLeak.com. What is the iLeak.com? In Paul Miller's class, we saw a movie from TED. Oh, it's not a movie, it's an excerpt, a talk from TED, where this Indian gentleman has created this small machine which projects on you and gives all the information. When I go to Abu Dhabi, personally, and as I'm not an Abu Dhabi citizen, every time I have to go in the airport, there's this little machine which you have to approach your pupil and it has to take data and information. I want to break that. I want to propose a chip which is called IT. And what is IT? It is information technology, which means take it to information technology. This chip is called IT. Ladies can wear it on their teeth, or they can wear it as a bindi, just the Indian ladies do. Men can wear it on wherever, probably on somewhere on the beard. And this chip is responsible for the iLeak.com. When I look at you and I have the IT chip, I can see in you everything about you. And this, I want to internalize this power, the beast of information, I want to internalize it. And the man, I want to generate this chip in the man and embody it so that he does not even need the laptop, the computer, nothing. Now, the thing is, with WikiLeaks, when we are online, we know the truth. When we're sleeping, things happen behind our back. This IT chip, when I look at you, it gives me the information. When you turn your back, behind your back, this IT chip, the iLeak.com, helps me read things that you don't want me to read while I'm looking at your face. So when you turn back, behind your back, all the data are there, all the data of the bad reputation, malicious reputation, etc., which is not preferable when I look at your face and you see my reactions to it. The final thing that I want to do is, the idea of transparency. This way, the it will give me the chance to be transparent, translucent, transgenerating everything. I've been following the CNN on the idea of iCloud. I even want to beat the iCloud. It's iLeak.com, and this leakage, we know that this leakage of the physical leakage, bodyleak.com, it's always dirt. I want to beat this dirt. Whatever leaks out of the body and the subject will be in the public arena, and my final statement would be, I want to beat the last leaf of fig from humanity. No more leaves of figs.
Shit will be your answer, actually. And that's going back 400 years, that was and is in many areas in the world still very valuable thing. People go around in India and collect the shit for the farmers and so on. So they will be happy to see you.
Yeah,
okay.
Excuse me, I just wanted to add one final thing. From the graphic revolution to the internet revolution, it has been the era of folding. WikiLeaks in 2010, it did the unfolding. I want to do the refolding.
Yeah, okay, I understand this so far. But good. Let Mr. Lovink deal with you here. I just make a few comments. I don't know, did you buy, because you bought a few of the Atropos book, or the book Follow Me or Die, or Follow Us or Die, where we published the paper of the Columbine killer and the West Virginia killer without any permission, and also included a few philosophical articles. Was also published by two Amsterdam artists who also live in America.
You had it at the sale of our books the other night.
Yeah, it was probably already gone because it's one of our bestsellers. And my article, The Human as Trans, that is translated into 2 times actually into English, is an article about the Columbine guys, on which side I am in many ways. Against the American form of education, this bullying system and this, popular people. You popular? Kill him. So, okay. but let's go back to your thing in that. Let's see everything you are into it. So firstly, take more seriously what Schirmacher says here in this. Maybe you should get my article, Privacy as an Ethical. Is it ethical? I don't know. Privacy as an ethical problems, I think call it. Ethical problem in the computer society. You can find it online when you start with the Schirmacher page on EGS edu. I think I told you, because I've been this used so long time, but let me repeat my main argument here. The main argument is that you will not know who I am. Doesn't matter how much you see me naked or whatever, or know my bank account or whatever. You have no idea who I am, because I have no idea who I am. My whole joy of life is exactly this, that I don't know who I am, that I change every day. With every movie I see, I'm changing, and certainly changing in the form of fusion, so many things I bring with me. I'm not saying I leave everything behind, but I could if I wanted to. You know, the idea of Hannah Arendt's idea of giving birth, natality, is there until my death. You know, I can do something. I live on 3 continents, you know, and I have no idea actually on which continent I live. New York, Dresden, or Phuket. What will be my continent? So I just let the dice roll. You know, I will see where I die, and who is going to bury me, the monks on Phuket or the Jewish whatever. In New York, in Germany, we have very wonderful cemeteries there with trees and so on. And maybe our family grave in Leipzig. But anyway, what I'm saying is, it is a fantasy about the transparency. What we are going to do and what will happen is that we get the status of a trusted traveler, which is with eye contact, etc. So you can go through custom very fast. I am an American resident, so when I come there with the entire big 380 big thing, then all the poor idiot Germans have to go where the tourists go, and I go to where the Americans go, and in 3 minutes I'm through custom. So welcome back, Wolfgang, and I'm back there. I won it in the lottery, actually.
No, you really did?
Yes. But I found out that it would not have helped me, actually, because I needed still an American who would open up all his accounts and etc. And promise that if I, in the next 5 years, needed social security, that he would pay for me. And at that time, I was together with
an American woman?
Mother of my child, is a millionaire lady with all their millionaire friends, but none of them would help me. And only by accident, I found in the New York University a guy I have never met before, Fred Ulfers, and we found out that we have something in common for Nietzsche. So I invited him to my Nietzsche Congress in Paris. And he was the one, he asked himself, because he was naturalized after the war, so he knew the situation. So he came to me and said, okay, I will be your sponsor. And without the sponsor, my winning the lottery would not have made any difference. I did not know that. He did not tell you in advance. And without this, Ulfers then became here professor, as you know, and was dean before Martin, and etc. So he is now over 75 and he helped me. But that a guy from himself come to me, I don't have to ask him, because I would not dare, I just barely knew the guy. You know? But the fact that I invited him to a big congress and he was kind of misunderstood in his own university because he was such a great teacher. He won 3 times the best teacher award and is on the wall there, you know, but his other professors in the German department did not accept him very well. You know, that he's not one of the big boys, because he has not written much. But anyway, also, how did I come to this story? Right. Also, it's the nakedness. Also, what can you see? Also, I think it's much more important, this idea that you are kind of checked in advance and you are low risk personality. Also in your case, for example, I would always give a strip search if I would be a custom person. It doesn't matter in which country, you know. So, and I'm totally for this kind of ethnical things on the customs. It's totally bullshit to strip. Let me strip. I never did, certainly. And all of the old grandmother from Ohio, you know, before we ever have one accident in which an old grandmother from Ohio came with a bomb in her thing. We have none of that. So it is, in terms of objectivity, to just pick out randomly anybody is absolutely bullshit. So you have to give them the chance, not to prove that they are very unlikely to make any trouble, and so you have time to look after all these people. You cannot know what they do in Beirut. So, also, that's one thing. The second thing is, you know, I was raised in a nudist family, you know. So nakedness, your famous nakedness, is nothing, you know. I always was very happy. I can go through the street naked and don't feel anything different. I can fight naked. I can fight with a gun or with a knife naked, you know. Also this, try to undress any of you, nicht, will of yourself to protect your privates. And in the meantime, I have slashed your symbol on that, because what is nakedness? Nothing, you know. It's just the body, you know. So, and ever, if you don't know how many nudist speech in your life you have visited. Because
yeah, I go to Ibiza every other.
No, yeah, I ask you, how many nudist speech have you visited in your life?
A lot.
Not, see, that's
a lot.
A lot, you say.
Yeah, in Greece.
But do you just
okay, but then you know the secret of the nudist speech. It has no erotic quality to it. You must, what you get there is how the human body really looks like. And only with time, you know, because when you're smart, you learn how to look and how not to look. So when I walk through a nudist beach, you know, I see nice girls and nobody else. It's like everybody else was gone, you know. So, and I have a very nice view in there. But that is a training of many years. In the beginning, as a boy or whatever, you know, I never had any of this kind of thing. And I always liked this idea. That's interesting, is that because teenagers, they hate nudist speeches. Usually between 12 or 13 and 16, they are not coming to that because they are so shy about their body and so on. Which is a pity, because it's the time when they look best in many ways, you know. So, but anyway, again, this nakedness stuff is totally overrated. To see something naked is not really something you want to see. And you are very happy sometimes that it's dark, you know, and all that you're so drunk that you cannot see anything anywhere. That is, as you all know, but I don't have to tell you anything. You can also the opposite argue, because that nakedness can give you a kind of thing, but that is hard for a nudist actually. You know, they need more than that. They need touching at least, you know. And something is not allowed on a nudist speech. You will never see people touching on a nudist speech without being kicked out of the nudist speech. So anyway, what I'm saying is, don't put too much trust in your, I can see you from your things like that. Because what you can see is actually not worth much. What you have to see is, are you dangerous or not? Are you somebody likely to hurt me or others or not? That is the only thing you need to know. You are a friend or enemy. And certainly the old rule of metaphysics, but of every war, rather kill 10 friends, but misunderstand one enemy as a friend. Mm-hmm. That is the old law. That is kind of, it's bad, You have to kill 10 friends in order not to let one enemy come through, nicht disguised as friend. Or like now in Afghanistan, you know, that they come in police uniforms you can buy in Kandahar. The first thing I would do there, I would go to all the shops and confiscate every weapon, every police uniform. I would kill every shopkeeper who is trying to stop me to do that or to hide the stuff. Would kill his family and his brothers and uncles too, you know, so that they just get a lesson. In the other better option is just to leave the country, because what actually are we doing there? Osama is dead, you know, let them fight their own fights and so on. The only thing we are actually staying there is that the female students can go to school. That is the last thing we actually are there, to kind of protect them to go to school, because otherwise the Taliban would not do much different like they do it anyway. And is it really worse? German lives in this case, now we start to kill the Germans there. Not my students, they are all retired as generals and colonels and whatever. And they never had to fight a war, fortunately. Never give me as a professor for the army. Anyway, good. I think it's a good starting point.